You never raised your voice. Not once. Think about that. Every moment they pushed, you didn't push back. Every time they expected you to explode, to react, to give them something to work with. You just didn't. You went quiet. You pulled back. You removed yourself. And somehow that decision, that one quiet decision, just brought the whole thing down. I don't think you even fully realize what just happened yet. There is something shifting around you right now. And I think part of you can already feel it even if you don't have words for it yet. The air is different. The energy is different. The people who had so much to say, the ones who were so loud, so confident, so sure they had you figured out, they've gone quiet, completely quiet. And that silence is saying everything. This message is not for everyone watching right now. I want to be really clear about that. But if you are the one who stayed gentle when the whole situation was designed to make you hard, if you kept showing up, kept breathing, kept going, while an entire group was organizing against you, then what I'm about to share is going to land somewhere really deep inside you. Something is going to click, and you're going to think, oh, that's exactly what's been happening. Because they are in shock right now. Real shock. The kind that makes people go quiet and start questioning everything they thought they knew. And the thing is, they don't even fully understand why. But you're about to. They picked you on purpose. I need you to really sit with that for a second, because I think part of you has been telling yourself it was random. That you just happened to be in the wrong place. That it could have been anyone. But that's not what happened. They looked around. They assessed the room. They looked at every single person available to them, and they chose you. Deliberately. Specifically you. And do you want to know why? Because you seem like the one who wouldn't fight back. You carry this energy, this warm, patient, gentle energy, and they read it wrong. They looked at your kindness, and they saw an opening. They looked at the fact that you don't cause scenes, you don't send unhinged messages, you don't go around recruiting people to your side, and they thought, yeah, that one is safe to hurt. That one will absorb it and go home and cry about it quietly, and by next week, everything will be fine. That was their calculation, and they were so sure about it. Here's what I need you to understand about that. They were not actually responding to you, not the real you. They built an entire strategy, an entire operation, around a version of you that they invented in their own heads. They decided who you were before they ever really looked closely. They needed you to be small. They needed you to be passive. They needed you to be someone who could be managed, moved around, talked over, and once they decided that's who you were, they stopped paying attention. That's the part that gets me every time. They stopped watching. They stopped being careful. Because why would you stay alert around someone you've already decided is harmless? Why would you cover your tracks around someone you've already written off? They got comfortable, careless. They started talking freely, moving boldly. They genuinely believed there was nothing you could do, nothing you would do. And that comfort, that arrogance, that is exactly where they made their mistake. Because here is what they could not see. Here is what they were never, ever going to be able to see about you. The quietest people carry the deepest roots. I mean that the ones who don't announce themselves, the ones who don't need to be the loudest in the room, the ones who can sit in discomfort without exploding. Those are the ones who have been building something underground for a long time. Something solid, something that doesn't move just because someone decides to push against it. And you cannot uproot something you never bothered to study. They never studied you. They thought they knew you because they knew the surface of you. The soft voice, the patient responses, the way you never escalated. But they had no idea what was underneath that. They had no idea what kind of foundation you had been quietly building your entire life. Every hard thing you survived before this. Every moment you held yourself together when something tried to break you. Every time you chose grace when anger would have been easier. That was all still there, underneath, invisible to them. They mistook your stillness for emptiness. It wasn't. It was depth they didn't have the capacity to measure. It was strength wearing the face of softness. It was a foundation so solid that everything they tried to build against you, had nothing real to grip onto. They thought they were leaning on a wall. They were leaning on a mountain. So while all of that was going on, while they were in the group chats, while they were screenshotting your words and twisting them, while they were making calls and pulling people in and building this whole case against you, something else was happening. Something they could not see, something they were never going to be able to track. You were healing. Not dramatically, not in some big visible way. You weren't posting about it. You weren't announcing your glow up. You were just living, just breathing through the hard days, just getting up and making coffee and going through the motions even when the motions felt heavy. Just existing. And I know that doesn't sound like much. I know there were moments where just existing felt like the hardest thing you had ever done, but here's what Spirit wants you to understand right now. That quiet, invisible, unannounced healing, that was the most powerful thing happening in any room you were ever in. You are not planning a counterattack. That's the wild part. That is the part they will never be able to make sense of. There was no strategy. There was no master plan. You were not sitting somewhere calculating your next move. You were just choosing, day after day, to keep going. And that movement, that simple, stubborn, beautiful decision to keep moving, was already dismantling everything they built, brick by brick, without you even knowing it. See, the universe does not need you to fight every battle with your hands. Something higher was already moving on your behalf. Your ancestors were already working. The frequency you were carrying, even in the pain, even in the confusion, even in those moments when you didn't know who to trust or what was real, that frequency was a signal going out. And it was being answered. Think about it. Every door that suddenly closed on them, every person who quietly stopped believing their version of the story. Every opportunity that dried up, every ally that slowly drifted away from their side. That was not coincidence. That was not luck. That was the universe responding to your alignment. That was something higher saying, we see what's happening here, and we are handling it. They never stood a chance. They just didn't know that yet. And now, here's the moment I really need you to sit with. Here's the part that should make you stop everything right now and just breathe for a second. They started turning on each other. They did, without you making a single move. Without one phone call, without one text, without one conversation where you defended yourself or exposed anyone or stirred anything up, the group started fracturing. From the inside, people started questioning each other. The trust started cracking. The story started falling apart. And do you know why? Because the only thing that was ever holding that group together was having you as the target. That was the glue. Their shared focus on you, their shared narrative about you, their shared need to make you the problem. That was the entire foundation. And the moment you stopped being small enough for them to aim at, they had nothing left to aim at but each other. You didn't break them. You didn't have to. Your growth did it for you. The simple, quiet, unstoppable fact of you becoming more fully yourself, that was enough to collapse the whole thing. That is not me being poetic. That is literally what happened. There is a shift that has already happened, and I don't think you have fully given yourself permission to feel it yet. I mean, really feel it. Not just intellectually acknowledge it, but actually sit in it and let it be real. Something has moved, something fundamental. The dynamic that used to make you feel like you were always one step behind, always catching up, always defending yourself, always explaining yourself to people who were never actually listening, that dynamic is gone. It dissolved. And the people who spent so much time and energy constructing it are standing in the rubble right now, wondering what on earth just happened. They built something they thought was permanent. They really did. They thought they had you figured out, locked in, contained, and now they are looking at the empty space where that used to be, and they cannot make sense of it. But here is what I want you to understand. You became impossible to reach. And I need you to hear exactly what I mean by that, because it was not because you built walls. That is not what happened. You didn't harden. You didn't close off. You didn't become cold or distant or bitter. What happened was something so much more powerful than that. You raised your frequency. Naturally, quietly, almost without even trying, you just kept healing, kept moving, kept choosing yourself in these small, private moments that nobody was watching, and your energy shifted so completely that their attempts to pull you back simply couldn't find you anymore. Think about it like a radio signal. They kept turning the dial to the old frequency, the one where you were anxious, where you were reacting, where you were small enough to need their approval. They kept reaching for that version of you, and they got nothing. Static, silence, just empty air where you used to be. And that silence, that total absence of the reaction they were counting on, that drove them into a panic they are still trying to hide from each other right now. Now here's the part that I really need you to stay with me on. Every single time you chose not to respond, they read that as defeat. Every time you went quiet, they told themselves you were broken. Every time you walked away from a situation instead of escalating it, instead of matching their energy, instead of giving them the war they were trying to start, they celebrated privately. In those group chats, they were congratulating each other. They genuinely, truly believed they were winning. But Spirit was watching something completely different. Spirit was not watching a person who was losing. Spirit was watching someone building sovereignty in real time. Every moment of restraint, every text you didn't send, every argument you didn't enter, every room you quietly left that was not weakness, that was not you backing down. Every single one of those moments was a transfer of power from them to you. Real power, the kind that compounds, the kind that cannot be taken back. You were not losing those moments. You were collecting them. And what you have collected, what you have quietly, patiently, almost unknowingly built, is something they do not have a strategy for. Because they were only ever prepared to fight the old you. The one who needed to explain herself. The one who needed them to understand. That person is gone. And the person standing here now? They never even saw her coming. Now here is what I need you to really pay attention to. Because this part right here, is probably the most important thing I'm going to say today. Some of them are coming back. They already are, or they will be, very soon. And I need you to be ready for that because it is not going to look the way you might expect. They are not coming back loud. They are not coming back with the same energy they left with. No, they are going to come back soft, familiar, warm, even, like the version of them you actually liked, the version they showed you in the beginning before everything fell apart. They're going to act like nothing happened. Like time just passed. Like they simply missed you. Like they just thought of you out of nowhere and wanted to check in. And part of you, I need you to hear me say this, part of you is going to want to believe it. Part of you is going to feel that pull toward the familiar, toward the version of the relationship you wished it had been. That is not weakness. That is just your heart doing what good hearts do. But I need you to stay with me here. Because here is what that soft return actually is. It is not growth. It is not a spiritual awakening on their part. It is not them finally seeing what they did wrong. It is fear. They felt you move into something they can no longer access, and now they are trying to find a way back in. Not because they love you, because they are terrified of what you have become without them. So let me be very direct with you right now. Your peace is not up for negotiation. Not anymore. Not after everything you survived to get here. The version of you that used to rearrange yourself to make room for people who were draining you dry, that version has graduated, she has moved on, and she is not coming back either. You do not owe anyone access to the frequency you are carrying now, just because they knew you when you were vibrating lower. You do not owe anyone an explanation for your boundaries. You do not owe anyone a long conversation about why you have changed. You are allowed to simply be different now. Quietly, firmly, without apology. Protect what you rebuilt, not with anger. You don't need anger. Anger is their energy, not yours. Protect it with clarity, with the kind of quiet confidence that only comes from someone who has been through exactly what you have been through and came out the other side still whole. Because here is the truth. The universe has been showing you through this entire situation. You are not someone who survives things by accident. That is not who you are. You were built specifically, intentionally built for this kind of pressure. The kind that breaks most people. The kind that turns most hearts cold and most spirits bitter. And you came through it still standing. Still soft. Still open. Still capable of love. That is not luck. That is not coincidence. That is divine design. You were chosen for something they cannot reach. Something they cannot name and cannot touch and cannot take from you no matter how hard they try. And everything, every single thing they threw at you, every rumor, every betrayal, every moment they tried to use your gentleness against you, all of it became evidence. All of it became proof of exactly what you are made of. They thought they were destroying you. They were just revealing you. I want you to sit with something for a moment before we close this out. This situation, this group, this chaos, all of it, it was never really about them. I know it felt like it was. I know there were nights where it took up every single corner of your mind, nights where you replayed conversations, where you questioned yourself, where you wondered how people you trusted could turn into something so unrecognizable. I know those nights were real. I'm not minimizing that. But here's what Spirit is showing me right now. That whole chapter, every bit of it was preparation. It was the universe constructing something inside of you that could only be built under that specific kind of pressure. You cannot manufacture what you just developed. You cannot shortcut it. You cannot learn it from a book or a video or someone else's story. It had to happen to you. It had to happen through you. And the version of you sitting here right now, the version that just dismantled an entire group simply by becoming more fully yourself, that version was always where this was going. That was always the destination. And before we wrap this up, I need to say something to you directly. I need you to actually hear this. You did not do anything wrong. Not one thing. You were not too sensitive. You were not too quiet. You were not naive for trusting people who turned out not to deserve it. You were not foolish for loving them anyway. That is not a character flaw. That is not something you need to fix or harden or protect yourself from next time. That is the kind of heart the universe specifically, intentionally needs in this world right now. The kind that stays open even when everything is trying to close it. The kind that stays whole even when everything is designed to break it. That heart is not your weakness. That heart is your assignment. So let me tell you what is actually happening now. They are in shock because they built their entire strategy, their entire sense of power around a version of you that no longer exists, and that version is gone. She is not coming back, but you are walking into something completely different. You are walking into clarity, real clarity, the kind where you don't have to second guess your instincts anymore. You are walking into a life that finally has room for the full version of you, not the edited version. Not the version that stayed small so other people could feel big. Not the version that dimmed herself down just to keep the peace with people who were never actually at peace with themselves. The actual you, the full you, and that version is just getting started. Keep going. I mean that. Keep going exactly as you are. Don't slow down. Don't look back. Don't shrink yourself back down to fit into spaces that were never built to hold everything you are. The world needs your light at full brightness right now. Not a careful version of it, not an apologetic version of it, not a version that's constantly explaining itself to people who made up their minds about you before you ever opened your mouth. Just you, exactly as you are. I am so proud of you, and I love you. Be safe.